What if? That is one difficult question, and it can be daunting and overwhelming to think about. Most of us, in fact, avoid it, but not today. You showed up to face that question head on. So thank you for watching this video today and deciding to spend time and work on finding a way to ease the burden for your loved ones when you do in fact pass. While the hardest part about today may have been just facing that question and recognizing maybe I should be doing something to help provide comfort and care and less stress to my loved ones in the event that I do pass away, it's not going to be the hardest part. The hardest part is going to be actually completing the workbook, because I'm going to be upfront and honest with you. It's going to require some work in gathering the information and the documents and putting everything into place and into one place. And that is where the workbook comes into play. My goal today in this video is to ask enough questions and provide enough information and share enough stories that maybe motivates you from, yes, this is something I need to be doing. I mean, you already took the first step in watching this video here today, but it's now going a step further and actually getting it done. So that's what my goal here with this video is, to get you not only motivated to compile and put together your what if workbook, but to get it finished and discuss it with your loved ones. Because what if your time is right around the corner? Unfortunately, we don't get to pick when it is our time. So if you don't already have your workbook, please reach out to the Stein Financial Group team and we'll be more than happy to get you that workbook. But you don't have to have the workbook itself. It looks just like this, the what if workbook. And again, you can compile all this information all on your own. Everything throughout this video is going to tell you exactly what we would suggest you have gathered and put into one place to ease that burden. If you'd like a copy of the actual what if workbook, again, please reach out to the Stein Financial Group team and we'd be happy to get it for you. It comes in a fillable PDF form, so you can do with it whatever you would like. If you have any questions as you're going through your what if workbook and you're putting all this information together and you're starting to have conversation with your significant other, please reach out and let us know. The whole idea of the what if workbook started with our fearless leader, Jeff Stein. He writes a monthly column called Life Lessons, where he takes his 30+ years of experience as a financial advisor and helping people prepare for their good life, living it now and throughout retirement. He has found that this workbook can be really valuable in terms of providing that peace of mind, not only for yourself, but for your loved ones and the significant other in your house, especially if one of you happens to be the primary, like one of your primary roles is to handle like paying the bills or filing and organizing documents, and that's like your role in your household, and somebody else doesn't then have to worry about that. What if you're the one who passes first and you leave the other one without knowing about all that information? So I'd highly recommend checking out his life lesson on the what if workbook and kind of those conversations that you have. It's really great. You can find that on our website at steinfinancialgroup.com. So over 7 years ago, I had to answer the what if I die question. I was going to be a single mom at the age of 28. And it's not unrare, but it's not also uncommon that a complication could happen in pregnancy, that even in our country, mothers can still pass away giving childbirth. And that didn't sit very well with me. So I wanted to control what would happen to me, my son, my family, and I wanted to ease that burden. I wanted to make sure my family could mourn me if they needed to and not have to worry about what I would have wanted, how they were going to take care of my son, where money was, and what all was going to happen. I wanted to control that situation and provide as much ease as I could if something were to happen. My name is Kimberly Hamlin, and fortunately at that time, my what if didn't become a reality, but it will someday, because we all know part of life is death. I hope it's a long time from now and I get to live a long and healthy life, just like I wish that for all of you as well. But a part of life does come death. So without further delay, let's all of us, myself included, update, consolidate, and complete our what if workbook for the loved ones that we leave behind. So our workbook is broken into 5 different parts. We've got health, banking, insurance, estate, and other personal items. And each one of these areas is critical to leaving your loved one with the information they need to continue on without us. This information is the peace of mind gift that Jeff talked about in his life lesson that I mentioned earlier, that we all want to leave for our loved ones. And we can take away our worry and stress just to let them grieve. So let's get started. Whoops. If you have the workbook, great. If you don't, that's just fine. You'll create your own. And if you don't have the workbook, again, reach out to us. But if you do have the workbook, I would highly recommend printing page 3. This is the review checklist page. It's a fairly large workbook, so if you're comfortable just using the fillable PDF format, I would just use that, and then you can save the file in someplace safe. But I would print, again, the review checklist, and this can be sort of your guide throughout the journey of compiling all the information and sharing it, to sort of go down the list and make sure you've got everything. And I do want to call out, date discuss is an item on the checklist. And this is important because it's not just gathering all of this information and putting it in one spot and never telling anybody about it. To be able to ease that burden and provide that peace of mind, we have to share with our loved ones where this information is at, where this workbook is at, so they can get to it, so they can take care of everything and continue to live their lifestyle without a lot of disruption. And so that's an important piece of it. But the other important piece of this workbook is that it's providing a lot of clarity about your wishes on how you'd like things to be taken care of. And it's important that your family knows about that. So Jeff Stein, Anthony Gerby, and myself here at the Stein Financial Group's team are all here to help facilitate what we like to call a family meeting. You can definitely do this on your own, especially if you're the elder of the family. It might just be calling a simple family meeting and sharing what you're comfortable sharing, but also making sure you share the essential pieces that are going to be important for your loved ones, to know that you've released some of the burden from them and have made some decisions and taken care of some things for them, for the when in fact it is your time to pass. But if for some reason that conversation might feel hard, or you'd like maybe someone to be a mediator or just to help facilitate and get that conversation rolling, again, Jeff, Anthony, and myself here at the Stein Financial Group team are here to help with that. So without further ado, let's jump into part 1 of our workbook. So part 1 of our workbook should read health at the very top. It starts off with emergency contacts at the very top. But in part 1, this is a really deep section. It's going to be maybe the harder, deeper part of the entire workbook. It's no one part of this workbook is necessarily more important than the other, but I would say that this may be the deepest and maybe even the hardest part of the workbook, just because it's going to raise a lot of questions. As you're filling out each different page and section, we're going to be talking about, how do you want to handle your long-term care plan? And not having a plan is kind of having a plan. You're leaving it up to somebody else to make all the decisions. So, what do you want? What are your wishes there? Do you want in-home care? How is it going to be paid for? Do you have a living will in place in the event that there's some sort of a health accident or some sort of an emergency, or you're in the hospital? Do your loved ones know what your wishes are? And can they communicate that to your doctors and your preferred care providers? And who are those people that, if something is going wrong, you want to be working with because they already know your history and your health? And some of these things you may be thinking, well, like my kids know who my doctor is. I've been going to the same one for 20 or 30 years, or, this or that, or my health insurance card is in my wallet. They'll find it. That's not a big deal. Again, this is just about easing the load, making things a little bit easier by consolidating and not assuming people are going to know or going to remember in the heat of the moment or when they're needing to be answering or taking care of tough questions and handling a tough situation. So these are really important things that we all need to be thinking about when we're thinking about our health, because as we age, it becomes a bigger and bigger part of our conversation every day. But regardless of our age, whether we're young or older, this is something that we need to be talking about. And maybe if you are on the younger end of this, maybe this is an opportunity to start the conversation with your elderly parents. Or if you're on the elder side, maybe this is the great way for you to start the conversation with your younger kids or extended family. But it's definitely something that should be a big part of your conversation. Now, while you're thinking about all of this and you're having discussions with your loved ones and significant others, if things come up like, okay, how is long-term care part of my financial plan? Or, how am I going to prepare for that? What are the things I should be thinking about? The team here at Stein Financial Group is available to help answer those questions, point you in the right direction. We've got experts available to have conversations with. Section 2 here, banking. Now, this section is probably the one that we think is that comes to mind first when we're thinking about what if I die. What if I die? Will my significant other, will my loved ones be able to access my accounts, my money? Will they be able to continue living without any interruptions? Will the mortgage get paid on the house if I'm the one who is normally responsible for doing that and now I'm gone? Will that all be taken care of? So that's definitely me in my household. I sort of manage the finances in the household. And so if I were to go and my husband was left to deal with all of that, would he understand where to go? Would he know, would he know even who owns our mortgage? Because has anybody's mortgage been sold since they bought their house? Yes. Or maybe your home is entirely paid off and you have insurance, which we're even going to talk about insurance here in just a minute. But these are the things, getting all of those pieces into one place and just making sure whoever is left to manage all of that, they know exactly where it is and what's going on with what. Location of financial documents, contacts, putting all those things into one place. Like, who are those other people that you work with in the banking space? Now, this is another piece where reviewing all of your accounts with your financial advisor is essential. They can help ensure your accounts are titled to do what you want them to do. For example, you can set up an account to transfer on death, making it seamless and easy to transfer from, to like your person of choice. And making sure those types of things are set up. So what if I die, will my significant other or my spouse be able to access the bank account just to get cash? Is it in both of your names? Is it set up to just transfer? No questions asked. Maybe if you're already widowed, how does your person that you're going to help manage your affairs, how are they going to get access to those funds? Have you set that sort of stuff up so that it works really seamlessly and there's no stress or worry about anything, once you're gone? These are types of things that we'd be more than happy to take a look at and review and just let you know and make sure things are working and your accounts are set up to do exactly what you would like them to do. All right, moving on to insurance. Now, at any point throughout this video, if you just need to pause because you want to take a breath, you want to work on this section before moving further along into the video, by all means, please do that. This is a recording, so you can rewind it, you can play it again, whatever you'd like to do. But by all means, if you'd like to just take a pause and catch up and work on that section, please do so. But moving into the personal insurance. So, why do we have insurance? What's its value to us? Why do we decide to have it? So these are things, that we think about when we're purchasing the insurance. It's typically to take care of our loved ones, to take care of our property in the event of an accident. But if something were to happen to us and we have life insurance, for example, and it's supposed to take care of our loved ones and be available for them, do they know which company? Do they know what agent to talk to about that? Has anybody's life insurance policy been sold to a different agency, or that agency got bought out over the years? That can become just quite a headache. So getting all of that information together, and I would even actually recommend getting the most recent policy statement and including that in with your documents in your workbook, just so you have, at that point in time, at least you had the latest, company that managed and serviced that life insurance policy. You had the most recent agent and maybe phone number available, and then you had the most recent statement around its value and everything like that. So this is a really good place to kind of put everything all together into one spot. And then if you had other special intentions for your insurance, we can talk about that a little bit too here in the next section when we talk about our estate. But, when you have that person, when you have all your other different insurance items on the list, where it lists beneficiaries or purpose of that insurance, make sure that's noted, because maybe some of those life insurance policies as you've aged are no longer needed to take care of a significant other, pay off debt, take care of kids, but maybe we've transitioned to wanting to keep that life insurance policy to be some sort of legacy or charitable contribution in some capacity, making sure that that's being noted and communicated. Verbal communication is great, but having it down on writing is even better. That way somebody doesn't forget, or people didn't hear different stories, and it can be crystal clear what your intentions are. So moving on to estate. So the estate section is another part of the what if I die conversation that's really about offering offering an opportunity to provide space, and again, time to grieve and time to just honor whoever it is that is passing, because you've taken care of all the little details about what you would have wanted. And no one's second guessing that. No one's having to remember that and having to think through that. And people can be there to help in the situation and help manage all of that. So, having an estate is not just for people who have massive amounts of wealth and assets and things like that. It's for everybody. We all have an estate where we need a will for our last thoughts and the things that we would like. Everything from final arrangements. Do you want flowers at your funeral, or do you not want flowers at your funeral? Would you prefer donations to be made? Do you want an eulogy? Do you not want people to come up and talk about you? Are there certain things about your life story that you want to make sure are shared? Are you somebody who wants to be just super on top of things and just make all the funeral arrangements and just get it taken care of so they don't have to worry about a thing? This is your chance to look at that. Are there different responsibilities or things that you had promised, maybe just verbal promises, whatever those might be, that you want to make sure are communicated and still written down? Pet arrangements. If you are someone who lives with an animal or a dog, how do you want that dog to be taken care of? Is there somebody who you would like to have that animal? What's to be done? What's the care arrangements for that? And then last but not least is the location of those estate documents, because those are legal documents that are really going to manage the rest of the conversation about what if I die. Who is handling the money? Who's handling the health questions? Who's handling your actual estate? Who is your power of attorney? More specifically, who is your durable power of attorney? And does that person know that? That's where having that family meeting, that's where that checklist of did I discuss this with the important people comes into play, because that person needs to know who they are. They need to know that you've asked them to fulfill this role. And I specifically called out durable power of attorney, because that power of attorney remains valid even if you became incompetent or incapacitated. So just an ordinary general power of attorney is going to expire when you no longer can make any decisions. So, that's another important part about the estate discussion and conversation. And if you'd like to know more about that and more about what's going on, we will have another estate planning specific webinar that goes much, much deeper into this topic and all the different parts of it, coming up later this year in our educational webinar series. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, do you have other just intentions for your assets, your home, your belongings? This always makes me smile because I think about my grandma who passed away a few years ago. She was 90. She was 96. I think she was 96 when she passed away. And I remember in her will, she had some very specific items. And one of the things that she wrote in there was that if you gifted her or my grandfather who had passed before her, gifted them anything, you were to take it back. Which I thought was just a beautiful way of saying, like, hey, to help with, taking away of things, like, come in here. If you gifted anything, I want you to take it back. I thought that was just a beautiful way for her to relay that message. Then another really cool thing that I thought was that she specifically wrote that her daughter Grace, my grandma had 12 children, and she specifically wrote in her will that her daughter Grace was to have her piano because she was the only child of the 12 that didn't already have a piano. Even though the piano was gifted from a different family member to them to have in her home, she specifically made that little intention. I thought that was really great. It was really heartfelt. You really knew why that was the way it was, and it made a lot of sense. So if there's things like that mean something to you but wouldn't matter to anybody else, you got to make sure that gets written down and not just communicated. So that's really a part of the estate conversation and the workbook pages in the work. All right, last but certainly not the least is just the personal section. And it starts off with all different kinds of things. So, it talks off with everything from, just monthly bills. So what are like the monthly things, monthly subscriptions, maybe like why do you have them? It's talking about websites and passwords. Because in this day and age, we do so much through email. So let's say like all of your documents are set up for e-delivery, your bank account statements, your reminders about the tags for your car to get renewed, and all those little things, your insurance, like everything like that. You're communicating so many things through email these days. Making sure that someone can get access to your email so they can get and see those documents and they can find things and know what's going on. Other things to think about is just like websites and passwords. The website, how to get onto your bank account online, or how to get to so like we have a mortgage. Like my husband wouldn't know where to go to get online to look at our mortgage and check any of those documents, where to go to do that, any of those types of things that your loved ones would like to need access to in the event that you're passing. And then just where are all of your personal documents? Like where are the birth certificates, marriage certificates, deeds, titles, things like that. And again, this goes both ways. A lot of times inside of households, we all wear different hats and we sort of take on different roles and responsibilities, and we feel really comfortable in those, and the other one just trusts us to take care of that. So maybe somebody else in your household is really organized and just takes care of everything, but it's all put away somewhere and you're like, I don't know where they are. And maybe you have a safe. Did they put the birth certificates and the marriage certificates in the safe, or are they just in the filing cabinet? Maybe they're the safety deposit box. Or is there jewelry or heirlooms in a safety deposit box? Where is that information? I know like in our family, my parents have an extra safe where like the will and the legal documents and birth certificates and all that kind of stuff is. It's also a gun safe, so there's some guns in there too. But I don't even know that password, but I know that my brother does. So in the event something happens, my brother knows the master password and he can get in there and we can get access to any of those documents. So just having that communication, making people all aware of where everything is. So like, and even just subscriptions, you might be like, oh, that's silly. Why do they need to know about subscriptions? Just to understand the charges that are coming through and what they mean. So things are taken care of, like even something as simple as the garbage. Oh, is that what that subscription is? Okay, that's going to keep coming out every month. My garbage is taken care of. Just again, we're thinking the what if workbook is all about what if I die, and can I leave my loved ones with peace of mind and less of a burden about and feeling good about that they have a handle on everything that's going on. But For example, a subscription that I would put on my list is for my mom. For two years ago for Christmas, I decided to get her a monthly subscription for flowers. So every month she gets new flowers delivered to her. My mom loves flowers. She loves gardening. And we live in the Northwest where it's gloomy a lot of the time of the year. So I think it's a beautiful way to just brighten up her day. So that means a lot to me, making sure that I've communicated that to my husband and that I would actually maybe like that to continue, even if I was gone, and making that kind of one of my wishes. And so making sure that, he understands what this subscription meant and why it was there. And, hopefully then he could be able to keep it going. Another one I like to think about that's just, something that you don't think about a lot is the fact that like we put money in our son's account for school lunches. My husband would have no idea where to go or how to do that. But it's just one of those things that I would want to write down so he's not stressed or worried about it. And so our son, doesn't have to feel embarrassed or like run out of money on his school lunch account. He knows where to go to put money on the school lunch account and to check its balance. Just other ideas of just little things that maybe seem really simple or not a big deal to the person who manages all of those things. But what if that person is the one who dies? How to communicate that to our loved ones. So again, this whole recording and video today was all about our what if workbook and taking the time to go through and actually complete it. So congratulations again for taking the time to just watch the video and get this far. So I really, really hope you finish your workbook. Again, you don't have to have the actual workbook. Just go back to each one of the slides or the very first page that kind of had the content overview and just look at all the different spaces and kind of all the bullet points in terms of here's the things to be thinking about. Again, if you would like the physical workbook, definitely reach out, give us a call, or reach out via email, and we'd be more than happy to get you that digital copy. This is another good piece. I just want to hit this at home again. The workbook is incredibly valuable. Put it all together, but you have to do the final part, which is to discuss each one of these components, not only with your loved ones in your immediate circle, but also with like extended family member or the people that you're hoping to do some things on your behalf. Lastly, but not least, what do you do when you have your workbook completed and you've got all this information? Where do you put it? Where do you put it to keep it safe? Well, with the clients at the Stein Financial Group have access to our AdviceWorks client portal, and this includes a secure document vault. And this can be used to store the workbook along with other digital copies of important documents. So think of things like the copies of the insurance statements, your will, your estate, your living will. It can be copies of, your estate wishes, your eulogy, any other documents, your marriage certificates, copies of all of those things. Of course, you will have physicals of all of those that need to be in a safe place too, preferably someplace that is fireproof. So think of a fireproof safe, safety deposit box, different things like that. But having a digital copy that somebody could easily and more quickly access. And then with your workbook, you're going to have in there all of your important contacts and important people like your attorney, your accountant, and things like that should be able to get you copies of originals in the event anybody needs those. But you can use that secure document vault. It's a great place to store things. If anybody who's a current client would like to take advantage of this resource or like a walkthrough of the client portal, or maybe didn't get it set up yet, definitely reach out to us. We can help with that. You can go out to our website and schedule a client portal help session, and we'd be more than happy to like share screens and kind of walk you through what all of that looks like. Remember, the goal of the What If workshop, the goal of this video today is to get you to think about the importance of putting all this information together into one spot to ease the burden on your loved ones in the event that you do pass away. And what if it is tomorrow? What if it's 10 years from now? What if it's 20 years from now? That's the part that we just don't know. So I really press that you take advantage of having spent the time to watch this video to actually get it done and get it completed, maybe even today. So without further ado, it's work time. So get to work, serious, please complete your workbook. If you have any questions, if you would like to talk about any of the different components of the workbook with anyone here at the team, Jeff, Anthony, myself, Margie on the team, we're all here to answer the phone and help you out in any way we can. So good luck on your workbook, and thank you for watching.